Perfect.
Who better than Derek, Pat, Andrew, the wrestling crew? Man, they bout to put an end to y'all careers like a finishing move. They bout to give y'all facts on these cats that's fighting on these mats. Y'all can't see them like John Cena. Even if y'all had 20/20 vision, y'all better listen, pay attention, and take notes down, and realize that it's not your time now. And watch these three kings take the crown. Hey, hey.
What's up, guys? You are listening to the Wrestling IQ 101. I am Miss Jasmine.
I'm number one, Brian Johnson.
The meanest in the game, Justin Pusser.
And we are
One
Mean
Team.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Wrestling IQ 101 or WrestlingIQ101.com for past interviews and this current one. Today we're sitting with Pat and Derek.
Hey.
And we're sitting with Jersey All-Pro Hall of Famer, Monsta Mack.
Whoop, whoop.
How's it going, man?
What's going on, guys? It's been a hot second.
Yeah, man. What, like 8 months now?
Something like that.
Since we started.
8 months, you're one of our first.
What was that, episode 4 or 5? I don't remember.
I think 5.
5.
Yeah.
5. Lucky number 5. Let me just tell you, that is a lucky number. Every time we have a show and Homicide looks at the lineup, if he's match number 5, he knows it's going to be awesome no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know what it is about that number. And the same thing goes with me. Whenever I'm 5, actually, it doesn't matter what number I am. I'm awesome no matter what.
I was gonna say, is that like main event right there?
Yeah. No, 5, for whatever reason, I have no idea. It's awesome. But, like, I don't know. I like being opening. You know what I'm saying? I like being the first. That way I get dressed. I'm relaxed. I can watch the rest of the show. When you're last, you're kind of like, oh my God, I got to kill myself because all these other guys just killed themselves. You know what I mean? But no matter what, I mean, I'm down for whatever, as you guys see.
Because, you know, like WWE, like they let you create your pay-per-view in like 5. They only give you 5 matches. So.
Mm-hmm. 5 is
main event.
Yep, 5 is main event.
So let's talk about going into the Hall of Fame. How was that?
That was pretty awesome. It was cool because it was me, Mav, Homicide, Key. And it was the 20th anniversary, which was something that Fat Frank had wanted us to do. Because it came up to bring us in the 19th anniversary, and Frank put the kibosh on it. He was like, no, save it for the 20. If we're going to go 20, you know, might as well put our 4 guys in 20. And it was really cool. It was really awesome because even though I don't really like to bring up and talk about my family as much, but it was really awesome that I had my daughter in the ring with me, and Moff had his daughter in the ring with him, and it's kind of like the new Hit Squad with the old Hit Squad, because those two are mooses, those little girls. You know, when they get older, they're going to destroy everybody if they want to get into wrestling. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's cool that they meet now and they're friends.
Nice. So, speaking of the Hit Squad, you guys recently had your debut together in Wrestlpro.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah. It was cool because it got a big reaction.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, you guys, you've seen me, you've talked to me before. You know that I really don't think I'm like a superstar or anything like that. I'm just Steve. You know what I mean? And when they told me that they wanted me to be not just a surprise, but the surprise run-in, and it was Moff who was telling me, and I'm like, "Do you think they're gonna know?" He's like, we'll find out. You know what I mean? So I had my face covered. I'm beating up on Pat Buck. I'm beating up on Kevin Knight. And, you know, when I stopped in the middle of the ring, I took my mask off. The place blew up. And it was a good feeling. You know what I mean? Because it's like, all right, cool. I am somebody here. You know what I mean? But it really was awesome in that, you know, I was saying before, it made a lot of noise for Wrestlpro. You know, Wrestlpro, its fans talk about it. But outside, unless it's like Cody Rhodes coming off of TV or something like that, right back, you don't really hear too much. But when me, Homicide, and Moff teamed up there, everybody was talking about Wrestlpro. You know, and I don't mean that as a slight on Wrestlpro. I'm just saying that that's what we brought to that table, and it's very definitely right there. You could see that we'd made that change for them. You know, and it was really cool to wrestle in Rawway. It was very weird to wrestle under Wrestlpro banner in Rawway for me. But it was very cool that we got that chance. And then wrestling down in Florida for representing them and wrestling their tag champs, you know, and not only doing that, but then we got, as you guys saw last week, we got put on TV on TNA because of the run-in that LAX did. I almost called him Mike and Angel. But UIFBO, I said your names. But, that was cool too. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of cool things that came out of the Wrestlpro thing. I don't know if it's going to happen again. I'm pretty sure there may be talks of doing some other stuff, but as of right now, I haven't heard anything since WrestleMania weekend. But no matter what happens, I'm very thankful that Wrestlpro gave me that opportunity because, it was like a shot in the arm almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was funny because we had Dan Moff on just right when he had his big meltdown. And I was like, he's like, you never know if I'm going to bring my family around. So I'm like, you think we'll see Monsta Mack? And he's like, you never know. And like, fast forward a couple months later, I'm like, there you are. And I was like still clapping even when like it died down. I was like, these are my guys because I grew up watching you guys like lay people out. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then fast forward, you got to face Kevin Matthews and Mario Bokra and Pat Buck in that awesome match.
That match was a lot of craziness. Like, normally matches are fun when they're crazy, but there was a couple of times because Mario, I've known him for a hot minute, and I think we've only wrestled like 2 or 3 times, not that many, but he's one of those guys when he starts to hulk up, he forgets how strong he is. So like, he's tagging me and I'm like, damn it, chill, son. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying not to kill people on my first match at Wrestlpro. And then I'm in there with the top guys. So there was a lot of ouch in that match, and it was cool to bring that level of excitement and violence to Wrestlpro because they've had crazy stuff, but with our stuff, it's just some next level nonsense. And I'm not to brag or anything like that, but when you watch us, we try to make you think that it's real no matter what's going on. And you question yourself, like, did I just really see Homicide use a machete on some dude's face? You know what I'm saying? So like, stuff like that, you know what I mean? We tear down the ring and we're going crazy, and it's just trying to undo the turnbuckle, which my stupid ass tightened the rope instead of loosening it. You know what I mean? Because it's been 20 years since I've done ring crew. My bad. But things like that, like trying to bring something different. Because Wrestlpro is a very distinct family style, and when you have something like Moff, who's a very intense guy, and he's going at it with Pat Buck is very reserved, but he has his moments where he hulks up too. You know what I'm saying? And like, he hits that level, but I think the thing that made it even special was that Moff brought him to another level of intensity, and he had to choke out Moff to win the match. You know what I mean? So like, that tells you right there what Moff is doing to Pat Buck, and that should intensify the storyline even more. I know that they just had their match. I didn't see it though, but
yeah, I was there.
How was it? Was it crazy?
Yeah, man, that was nuts, man. I couldn't like the level of intensity that like I thought you guys had. Like, they matched that, just the two of them on their own.
Yeah, Moff is one of those guys. He's he's either very loving or very crazy intense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the middle is kind of hard to find with him because he's very extreme, and when he really loves something, he will definitely go out and kill everything in its way to get it. And and Pat, I mean, you got to look at it. It's his company, but who's the face of his company? Is it really Kevin Matthews? No. Is it really Mo? No. Those guys are TNA guys. Fowler, the same thing. Fowler would have been the face of the company, I think, but he's with TNA. Moff is still the face of the company. Yeah. You know what I mean? He gives it the attitude and the heart. Yeah. So you got a hard clash there between two very strong egos, and it's gonna be wild like that.
It's funny because the last thing I remember from the Jersey All Pro show was you and him walking up together the ramp. And I kind of got the same sense from the last show that he had with Pat Buck at Wrestlpro, where it kind of got quiet and they were just on their feet just for Moff, like that kind of thing. He lost the match, but he still walks away the biggest winner of like anything. It's with you too, Well,
so I know I'm gonna switch companies for a second, but we've been wrestling for Beyond for the last 2 or 3 years, and since January of 2016, we wrestled Gargano and Ciampa. Because the show before that was Low Key Homicide. That was a draw or disqualification. And the show before that, we won Tournament for Tomorrow. So, I don't really want to count those two. But everything else, I think we only had one loss. And then going up to Gargano and Ciampa, we still maintained we only had one loss. You know what I mean? And then Gargano and Ciampa happened. And we lost that one. We had, I want to say it was 13 matches or 12 matches. I don't remember the exact number. And out of that, we only won 2 the entire year from that point on. And I was actually talking to a guy the other day about this. No one realized that we lost the match because at the end, they were standing and cheering for us. When we lost to Janelope, that was a crazy match. And in that situation, see, me and Moff, we're very proud, we've accomplished a lot and we were given nothing. You know what I mean? That's how we always feel. So we always feel like we have a chip on our shoulder. We always feel like we have to go the extra mile. Sorry to be Teddy Hart there for a second. But, we have to just kill it harder than everybody because nobody gives us anything. They expect us to just do, And giving us that Janelope match, we were a little bit uneasy because you got to think about it this way. We're a decorated tag team for 20 years going against, even though Janela's an awesome wrestler, he's one of my favorites, period, right now. And his girl, she's pretty awesome too, But it's still a guy and a girl who have less than 10 years experience combined against 2 guys who both have 20 years. You know what I mean? If we're going to lose, that only makes us look bad.
Yeah.
If we beat them, that still makes us look bad. So we were put in a rough spot no matter which way we were going. You know what I mean? And we go out there, and after they had EYFBO wrestled, who the hell did they wrestle? They wrestled Ace, I think it was, and Brian Malonis. They killed it. Dijak killed it with Mikey Webb. What's his name? Riddle, him and Tremont had I was up there watching it. They destroyed it. Like, everybody was on their feet. I mean, you guys got to get to a Beyond show because when you go up there, it's like, it's a party. Everybody's standing, which you would think after 2 hours you want to die. Everybody's just as hyped for the last match. So with all that stuff that's going on, everybody's exploding for everything that's coming. We're the last match. And when I saw that, I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad. Because, in all fairness, Penelope, she's only in her, second year? And I know Janela can go. I know Janela's insane. He'll do whatever he has to do to die for the match. He'll do it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's a handicap match. Yeah. So what can we do? What can we possibly do to make it where we don't look like absolute jerks? You know what I mean? And we were put in a really hard spot, and it messed with us because we were like, why are they testing us? We're the guys that have been going all out, going crazy. You're going to give us this match, and you're expecting us to fail. Like, that's how we felt. Whether they felt that or not, we felt we were put in place to fail, no matter what. And we go out and we knock it out the park. And we not only knock it out the park, we get the most viral video of the year with Penelope getting speared. Moff ends up on SmackDown on Tuesday. Janela, he's Janela, but he's got everything. Janela Spring Break, if you guys didn't see it, tremendous. You know what I mean? But like, all this great stuff came out of that 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it was. But the best part was, it was such a crazy, insane match. We lose. Janela's laying down. Penelope comes back into the ring after getting speared, crawls back. She just drops dead on top of Janela. And it was such a visual. It was an awesome visual. And normally, they chant either for both teams or the one team or the other team. They chanted all 4 guys or, all 4 people. And then they chanted for Janela and Penelope. They went to the back. They chanted for us until we went and disappeared. They were still clapping for us. You know what I mean? So whenever that happens, they did that with War Machine too when we wrestled War Machine. Whenever that happens, it always gives me a great sense of pride that, like, I did my job great. Because when I look at what happened after, everybody went up to another level. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right now, who's hotter than Joey Janela on the indies? Not too many. Yeah. Joey Ryan, maybe? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's it. Janela is the thing, you know? Penelope, everybody's looking at her and they're like, oh my God, she's going to be in the WWE. She's beautiful. She's got a pretty face. She can work. She can listen. She proved it in that match. She's tough. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You enjoy her against the wall?
Well, so, yeah. It was funny that you said that because we were gonna, and we had plans on doing it. And then at the last second, don't hit the wall, because if anything happens, nobody's getting paid. So it was like, oh, okay, fine.
It was funny because we talked to DJ Hyde, and he runs his women's promotion down there. And he said definitively, like, she was the breakout star.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, because you see like Maria Manic everywhere, and she's great by herself too, and so many other women on that roster. And he was like, yeah, she's the one.
She is. Everybody sees it in her. There's people sometimes, like Matt Riddle. When I first met him, like, I knew he was a UFC guy, and like, but he's so chill, so relaxed. But when you look at him,
he's probably high.
Well, might have been. But like, when you, bro. But when you look at him, you see a superstar. When I look at her, I see that, and she doesn't even know it, because she just likes wrestling. You know what I mean? So she's doing it and having fun and learning. When she figures out that she's as good as she is, we're going to see a totally different girl. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying she's going to go to that next level, and it's cool that I get to work with people this young in the game. You know what I mean? Because I'm an old dinosaur now. You know what I mean? So, sometimes, like when we wrestled War Machine, those are two young studs. I mean, you guys you watch New Japan. They threw, what was his name? Cheeseburger. They threw him like 20 feet in the air. You know what I'm saying? They did that to us. We did all that stuff. Everything that they do, we did all that with them. There was nothing that we didn't do with them, because we knew, like, we have to, like, that's what I love about Beyond, is that you have to stay on top of your game. You have to be able to hang with these guys, because if you can't, get the fuck home, because there's somebody else who's dying to get that spot. You know what I mean? It's ultra competitive up there, but it's a good competitive. There's certain companies where someone will cut your throat. And it's like, oh man, why has it got to be that bad? There's plenty of places to work, you know what I mean? But they will not only cut your throat, but then they'll stab your mother too. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, son, relax, But like in Beyond, it's competitive, but everybody helps each other out. It's like, they talk to you and they're like, hey man, you guys are doing awesome, And I'm talking about the workers, not the people in the back. People in the back, whenever you do something great, they'll let you know that they thought it was great. You know what I mean? But the workers themselves will come up, man, that was awesome. Like, I had a talk with Jonathan Gresham, and he's another guy lighting up the world right now. But we had a nice little talk, and he's, I gave him a lot of advice, and he used that advice, and it got him to, I'm not saying that I got him to Ring of Honor. I'm just saying it helped him make his decision with Ring of Honor. And so when guys like that tell me that I helped them, Matt Tremont was like, Steve, what can I do to get to Japan? And this is like 2 years ago. And I was like, you got to start calling them out. You got to tell them. And I don't remember what exactly the words were, but he told me that I did say it. He's like, I told him, I was like, you got to say Japan is scared of you. You got to tell Japan that, you got to tell the world that Japan doesn't want you over there because they're afraid of you. He starts doing it, and look at what's going on now. I'm going to be at Onita, Tremont. I don't know about you guys, but that's going to be some nonsense. You know what I'm saying? And it's all because of little stuff that I helped guys with along the way. I said this last time I was here. I always get in trouble because I should be helping myself out more, but it's just not my nature. I enjoy helping younger guys out. I enjoy telling guys, not telling them, but giving them advice, just helping them, show them what's the option for them, because you can't direct anyone to any way, but you can show them what their options are. You know what I mean? And, when I was coming up, we didn't have anybody. Nobody wanted to help us out. It was just me, Maf, Kia, Homicide. We had the SAT as boys, but they were in the same boat as us. We were all on the same level. And it was like, none of the vets, because we threatened their position of power. So they didn't want to deal with us. They were just like, fuck them, let them sink or swim. We fucking swam like a motherfucker. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So with the younger guys, if I could help them, I'm not looking for a pat on the back, because you don't get that here. I'm looking for, when I wake up and I see my guys on TV, I'm like, man, that's fucking cool that, I had a little part in that no matter what. You know what I'm saying?
When a guy like Jonathan Gresham comes up to you for guidance into Ring of Honor, does it mean more coming from you talking about Ring of Honor, since your roots at Ring of Honor? Mm-hmm. How do you think that he feels like hearing that from a guy like you?
Well, he definitely knows the history, mm-hmm. and so he knows that we started it, and I think it does have more importance to him. Mm-hmm. I think for some of the younger cats who don't know the history, it's kind of like, so this is what I'm getting back at with Beyond, in that all the work that we do in Beyond, it's reestablishing us as, I don't want to say legends, but as guys who know what the hell we're doing. And so now the younger guys that watch Beyond, they're seeing us, and like, oh man, these guys really know what the hell they're doing. Mm-hmm. You know, and so like, I think now, because of our run of Beyond and CZW, they are more comfortable coming up to us and asking us, you know, and that's fine with me, because that's all I want to do is help out. You know what I mean? There's some people, like, there's some people you could tell, I don't want to give any names up, but you could just tell when you look at them, they're just in it to be famous. They're not in it because they love wrestling. You ask them, what was your favorite match of WrestleMania 6?
Yeah.
And they're like, Iron Sheik. What? You know what I mean? So, like, you know that they're not there because they love the game. They're there because they want to be famous. So you don't be mean to them, but you don't go all out and help them. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Yeah. So I know you say you're an old dinosaur, but you know, to us.
By the way, if you ask any of my friends, those motherfuckers would tell you I'm a T-Rex because I have short arms, fucking assholes. Talking to you, you know who you are.
But you know, for us, it's like, you know, the Hit Squad is like, to us, it's like the Hit Squad is like the bar, man. Like to us, and it's like every time when like someone comes on and we'll ask them, like, you know, whether it's a tag team, you know, who do you want to fight in the future, or they'll ask us, well, who do you guys want to see us fight?
Oh yeah, we tell them you.
Always the Hit Squad. we always say the Hit Squad.
Thank you guys.
Or if someone comes on and they're running a promotion and they're like, who do you guys want to see us get on that we haven't got on? Even though it's crazy, like, if anybody's running a promotion out here and they haven't had you guys yet, it's like, it's nuts. Yeah. And like, you guys are like always on the list for us. It's like the Hit Squad. It's like, of course. It's like, you guys are still killing it. And it's like when I saw you on the Wrestlpro flyer, like, cause that show I didn't get to go to, and then it was like, Monsta Mack. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, Monsta Mack? He's a Wrestlpro? And then, like, just to see you on the flyer, like, that's nuts, man. That's like a dream.
I gotta say, no matter what happens, I'll never have hate for Wrestlpro, because they made me look so jacked up. Man. I was like, look at that, Daddy's on the gas.
It was so funny because we had Dan Ram and Mark Adam Haggerty. And the week before that, Sean Donovan was like, oh yeah, I want to team up with Michael Blake and take on you guys. And I was like, yo, book that match, guys. Like, hint, hint. Like,
Donovan, every time I see him, he always is like, when are we going to work? I'm like, I don't know, tell your boss. I'm down, you know what I mean? I like, that's the one thing I don't have, I always feel like I don't have any power. Like, I could suggest, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you might want to check out so-and-so. And yeah. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these promoters, they already have it in their mind who they want to use and whatever. But I always try to convince them. I'm like, look, if you start bringing in so-and-so, they have a following on Twitter, they have a following on Facebook and Instagram, they have a following that comes to indie shows. That extra money is going into your pocket by booking them. So you might want to do that. Like, I always try to show them the financial side, because that's the only way promoters understand. You know what I mean? And even then, they still don't get it, you know. But, you know, I always try to show them that side of it, because, you know, I see who draws, who gets the big reactions, who doesn't get a reaction. I have a lot of favorites that I love to watch wrestle, but I could never book them because the fans don't like to watch them. You know what I mean? And that kind of sucks. But at the same time, you have to look at it from the business side. You know what I mean? You have to be able to speak to a promoter and let them know, you know, if you invest here, you're going to get a return on your investment. But if you don't have proof to back it up, you can't just go, hey, book Joe Schmo, and they're going to do it because they have nothing to say that Joe Schmo is going to help them draw. You know what I mean? And I've been looking at that more and more. And that's why me and Maf, it wasn't done where we were like malicious and like, we're only going to work in Beyond, and then anywhere else is going to have to pay us, whatever. We both came to the agreement. We're doing our stuff down here. If we team up there in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, it means more because we're exclusive there. You can only see us there. If you want to see us, you can come to JAP, you can come to see whatever, but we're not going to team up. Up there, we'll team up. And then, eventually, because we created enough of a buzz, we were able to come back down here. And that's when you saw us working CZW, JAP, Wrestlpro, and all the other little places, Pro Wrestling Magic, because, we already had re-established ourselves up there. If we don't do that with Beyond, we don't have this run, we don't do anything. You know what I mean? He stays at Wrestlpro, I stay at JAP, and that's it. Only time we, have any communication when we talk on the phone, you know what I mean? Outside of that, nothing, because that is just, it's just smarter business sense. You have to, what's going to help my bottom line more? Yeah. So when you have something exclusive, and you create a buzz, and everybody's like, well, I keep hearing about this Beyond Wrestling thing. It sounds pretty good. Maybe I should bring some of the talent down. Then you start seeing JT Dunn. You see the Hit Squad. You see Donovan Dijak, Keith Lee. All the guys that were blowing up last year, now they're all flooding down here because we all created that buzz up there. And like I said, it wasn't intentional where like everybody's like, this is what we're going to do, guys. You know what I mean? But it worked out that way. You know what I'm saying? So, as you get older in this game, you have to start, like, I have a great love for wrestling. But as I'm getting older, I'm starting to appreciate the business side. And I've never been, because, for the longest time, I was getting the minimum. I was like, give me $100 and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And I was happy with that because I love pro wrestling. It didn't matter to me. Other guys are charging $300, $400, $500. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'll wrestle them for $100. But they're getting $5. That's all right. Just give me $100. You know what I mean? And they didn't understand why, because it was just for the love. Mm-hmm. But now that, like I said, I'm getting older, you have to make sure that the value that you create is equal to the value that you're getting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and a lot of kids don't see that because they're kids. I mean, it takes a while. It's not something that you just happen to come across, But at the same time, I think the business is evolving and it's becoming more and more athletic, more and more competitive. So they have to start understanding the business side because their careers are getting shorter. Look at Daniel Bryan. Yeah. Daniel Bryan's prime example. Greatest wrestler. One of the greatest wrestlers I've ever shared the ring with, been in the locker room with, talked to. I mean, the guy gave me the night before the show that they did in Madison Square Garden before WrestleMania 30 when he won the belt. My sister called me up that week. She's like, "Hey, I got tickets. You want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." We go to the Garden, and I'm sitting in the seat that's in the aisle. I was like, oh, fuck, everybody's going to see me. So I had my hat down low, you know what I'm saying? Trying to be Mr. Kayfabe, man. And so Daniel Bryan comes out, and I clapped because it's my boy, you know what I mean? There was other guys, too, and there was a whole bunch of people who were, as they were coming back, they're like, Steve, what's up? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? You know what I mean? Daniel Bryan has his match. He's doing stuff with Kane and Triple H and Stephanie. And after it's over, the heels all go to the back, and he's giving everybody a pound. He walks by me, and I was like, hey, stranger. He stopped. He's, Steve! And gave me a big hug. And the funny thing is, we're talking for like 30, 40 seconds, right? Like if nobody was around us, right? And, oh man, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. I can't wait to see you kill it at WrestleMania. Bro, it's been awesome. We got to get together, whatever. Security comes, Daniel, they want you to go to the back now. He's like, I got to go, fuck. He leaves. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden my phone is blowing up. The whole exchange was on the Madison Square Garden Titantron. Everybody saw me talk to Daniel Bryan, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even think we stayed the whole second half because there were so many people. He knows people. All the people around us. Oh my god, I think he's a wrestler.
So much for hiding.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. I feel like you and Maf couldn't hide anywhere. Yeah, right. Just recognize.
It's kind of hard, but I don't know how he goes to like theme parks so much because I know when I would go, they always went Monsta Mack, Monsta Mack. You know what I mean? So for him, he's got his tattoos now. Yeah, he's very distinct, so you would notice him right away.
Do you guys hate stuff like that when people like?
No. You know what it is? My wife hated it for the longest time because. She's like, oh, we can't go anywhere, and you know someone. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of famous. I know.
I think that's just a wife thing, because my wife says the same thing.
But,
I don't know nobody.
You know what's so funny? She always, I always tell her, I'm like, look, I'm not really a celebrity, but I'm kind of a celebrity. Like, I'm on the lower rung of celebrity, right? And she's like, no, you're not. I'm like, babe, they made my own Wikipedia page. I didn't do it. Someone did it. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, you're not a celebrity. And then like all these people come up to me and I'm like, hey, what's up? Nice to good to see you. She's like, you know them? I'm like, no. She's like, ugh, how could you talk to them? I'm like, it's fans, but what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh man.
So this was your first WrestleCon, right?
mm-hmm. Yes.
How was the experience overall going down to Florida, wrestling for Wrestlpro, different company than you're normally from? What was that experience altogether?
It was pretty awesome, I got to say. One of the coolest things was the Friday night show where the UK guys all did that like dancing spot and they had all kinds of craziness going on. I went down because Loki was there and I went to see him. I hadn't seen him since the anniversary show. And, I go into the locker room. But before I even get into the locker room, first person I see is Marty Jannetty. And Marty Jannetty just wrestled Janela Spring Break the night before. Marty Jannetty screams out. And I didn't see him, but he screamed, Mac Daddy! And I turn around. I was like, oh, shit, Marty, what's up? And, like, I shouldn't have been surprised because I hung out with him before. But, like, I was like, fuck, that's Marty Jannetty. He fucking knows me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he shouted my name out. You know what I mean? So then I go in the locker room. I say what's up to all the guys, everybody. And, most of them, the majority of them I know. And, like, all the British guys like Ospreay and Marty Skrull and, all those guys, like, I've talked to online, but I've never seen them saying what's up. I was like, fucking cool to meet you guys, whatever, And then I go with Key. Because we had wrestled there the night before to do Wrestlpro. So Key was like, you know where the bathroom's at? And I was like, yeah, sir. Let me take you. It's over here. Okay, fine. So we're walking.
I feel like everyone has a low-key impression.
Everyone does. Let me tell you, me and House, I talk about it all the time. Everybody, whenever they talk about Key, does the Key voice. It's like Samoa Joe does it all the time. Yeah, well, yeah. But, so as we're walking to the back, I see Too Cold Scorpio. I haven't seen Too Cold Scorpio probably since like 2011. And, I'm like, oh, what's up, Scorp? He's like, yo, what's up, Mac? How you doing? I'm chilling, And again, I'm like, fucking Scorpio knows my name. Like, because, like, it wasn't until 2006 that, like, a real name shouted me out. And that we were in the arena. It was me and Azrael. We were just chilling in the ring, stretching before the show. Sabu. Mac Daddy, what's up? I was like, fuck. Oh, shit, Sabu! Right? And, what's up, Mac Daddy? And, like, he didn't say what's up to anybody. He just came straight to the ring, said what's up to me, said what's up to Azrael, and then went to the back, started saying what's up to everybody else that he walked by. And I go like this to Azrael. I was like, yo, Sabu knows my name, dog. And he was like, bro, that's so fucking cool. You know what I mean? Like, but, so, like, Scorpio, who, I was just talking about this again the other day, for the last 30 years, I don't want to age him, but last 25 years, Scorpio has been, when it comes to light heavyweights, he started the game. Him, Liger, Benoit, those are the guys that got American light heavyweights, whatever you want to call it, that style over first. You know what I mean? And he always represented it throughout his entire career. He's bigger than most of the guys that we know as light heavyweights, but he's still a light heavyweight. You know what I mean? And like, to me, that's like, holy shit, that, like, he knows who I am. He says what's up. We did another show for Superstars of Wrestling, and he was like the same shit. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, oh, what's up, Mac Daddy? And we had a locker room. It wasn't really a locker room. It was like a closet, but it was like me, him, and Magic. And it was just the three of us. And he only went in there because I was there. There was, an outside locker room he could have went to be more comfortable. He went into the locker room that I was at. And like, just so we could talk. You know what I mean? And we took like 3 hours talking the whole night. You know what I mean? So like, to me, that's so cool. You know, I had a whole bunch of stuff like that happen that weekend. And it was one of the first times in my career where I felt like, all right, I'm somebody. You know what I mean? And like, it's weird to say that, but that's how I felt. You know, I don't normally feel that way because, like I said, I'm a bum. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm just like, whatever. But like in that environment, a whole bunch of people came up to me, all the Europe guys. They all are like, oh my God, that's so cool to see the Hit Squad in the fucking building. And I'm like, oh, bro, it's so fucking cool to see you guys in the fucking building. You know what I mean? Because they all grew up on Ring of Honor stuff. So they're all seeing this. And then they see us. And they're like, you guys look exactly the fucking same. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, no, I'm a little bit older now. You know what I mean? But, like, they see us and they're popping the same way I'm popping for them. Like Will Ospreay. Who's had a bigger year than him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Ricochet, I've known since he's like 12. You know what I'm saying? He had long hair. Actually, I shouted him out on Twitter the other day. I was watching an old JAP episode, and I was like, I tagged Ricochet. I was like, hey, whatever happened to this kid? He looked like he had a lot of promise. And and Ricochet was like, yuck. You know what I mean? But like, it's like, you know, it's cool when I know the young guys like that and they become stars. And like, you know, like Ospreay, like I said, and Marty and Zack Sabre Jr., like all those guys, they all show mad love and respect to us. And like, it's so cool because, you know, like I said, I'm just a bum. You know what I mean? But to them, I'm something. And those are the guys that are running the world right now when you look at it. You know, those are the guys that are in charge of pro wrestling. You know, and, you know, there's nothing you could really say to tell me otherwise because when I watch, those are the guys that are getting the biggest reactions, the most noise. What did Marty sell on his t-shirts? Like 30,000 in 1 month? Some ridiculous
crazy.
number.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he just started New Japan. All this time he's been an indie guy when you look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Number 1 t-shirt seller. You know, like that's incredible to me.
It doesn't hurt that he's part of the Bullet Club now too.
But even with that, he's only been with the Bullet Club like a month and a half. It just started, you know. So he's always, but he's like I showed Key. Well, no, of course, Bullet Club definitely helps.
And he's selling those shirts because I went online and I looked. I was like, damn, this shirt is amazing. I was like, I want to buy one.
Yeah, all his designs are top notch.
$45 for the shirts, and people are still buying it.
Yes, exactly.
I still want to get my Cody one though.
You know what's funny? I saw Cody last week at Pro Wrestling Magic, or this weekend, and he had on the front was Bullet Club, but on the back was the Tekken.
Oh, yeah?
So I said, Cody, don't leave that shirt out. I'm stealing it. I'm letting you know right now. I don't care if it fits me or not. I'll cut it down the side. He started laughing. He was like, nah, I'm going to keep it on. Don't worry. But, you know, like, when you know, I can remember showing Key the promos that Marty Scurll was putting out. And I was like, look, this kid is different. Like, I've seen him wrestle. He's good. He needs a little polishing, but that's going to happen no matter what. And, you know, I keep seeing these promos, and Key was like, yeah, I see it too. You know, like, this kid's got a lot of, he's very creative, very bright, very innovative, and he's got a lot of promise, you know, a lot of hope. So we kept our eye on him, and Key wanted to wrestle him. I don't remember why it didn't happen. He wanted to wrestle Ospreay too before Ospreay won the Super Juniors last year, but for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. But like, we always see the kids that are next star. We always see it, all of us. And we point it out to each other right away, you know? And it's cool to see when you're right sometimes, and then it's cool to see, you know, that they respect you and they're, you know, they're fans, and it's like, that's cool, you know?
That was kind of like Jersey All Pro's kind of thing, though. Mm-hmm. To begin with, if you look at Kenny Omega, they had him first, kind of, you know, Brody Lee, so many other people, all kind of came through there.
Yeah.
Now Jersey All Pro is coming back. You have a show on July 1st. You want to talk about the new beginning of Jersey All Pro?
Well, I was saying this before when we were talking before the show started. The 20th anniversary was a landmark show for us because, you know, how many companies could say they made it to 20 years? And, you know, with Fat Frank's passing, it felt as if we needed to get to the 20th anniversary so we could put a bow tie on it, you know, and we can. So, like, the first 20 years, that was, even though there was different eras, there was the Bayonne era, the beginning of the Raw era, the Teddy Hart Homicide era, the Jay Lethal era, you know what I mean? There's a lot of different sections, but it bookended on the 20th anniversary because Fat Frank died. That was his baby, his creation, his Frankenstein, whatever you want to call it. And we knew that at that point, I mean, there's only a couple of guys who wrestled on the Bayonne shows, wrestled through some of the Raw shows that were still wrestling now. So we knew, like, you got one of the hallmarks of JAP has always been finding the next talent, like you just said. And we have been, like, I'm on a lot of shows and I'm always watching for talent. And that's the one thing that we said we were going to focus on starting the new year, meaning this year, 2017. The problem is just we haven't been able to get together, put a show together, get anything going. And then about 2 months ago, finally we were able to sit down and discuss what we wanted to do and where we thought the company should go. And part of me wanted to change the name. I didn't want it to be JAP anymore because I felt like that first 20 years, that was JAP. The next step should be something different. It's going to be its own identity because Fat Frank isn't there, you know? And I feel like no one could replace him. No one could step into his shoes. No one could do what he did for that company because he loved it more than anybody. That was his baby, you know? And it wouldn't be fair to the next person to come in and try to match that love and passion for the company because no one could have it. You know what I mean? I've been there since 1998, but I wasn't there at the first show in 96, 97. So there's a year and a half, 2 years almost that I missed that I can't match, say, Homicide's love for JP. You know what I mean? Because he was there from the first show. You know, I can't match Fat Frank's love for JP because he created and he was there from day one. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, I felt like, and it wasn't just me, it was other people too in the office who felt like it should be, you know, all new guys, all new direction, and just build on whatever we can get that's works. And that's not fair because nothing's been done yet. So we don't know what's going to work other than the reaction that the guys are going to get, guys and girls are going to get when they come out. Part of the other thing was everybody uses the same talent in this area.
Yeah.
And it's hard to develop new talent when everybody's using the same talent. So one of the things that I've been helping doing is seeing who is, even if they work in this area, who's getting less of a buzz but can go. Who is just outside of the area and willing to come in. That's been part of my job, to find that, you know, unturn rocks and find the people that are underneath them. You know what I mean? It hasn't been easy, but fortunately, because I've been able to work for Beyond and all these other companies, CZW, and I'm able to pick and choose, you know, from all over the tri-state area and just, you know, keep it local so the budget stays low so that when we have our show in October, we can have not an expensive show, but spend a little more money, you know? So with the worldwide, my plan was to get, and when I say my plan, I don't want it to be like, it's only me, I'm the only one. There's other people behind it. I don't want to shout them out, but they know who they are. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure if you look at everything that comes out, you can figure out who it is. But, you know, as far as on the wrestler side, I'm pretty much the only wrestler that's involved, put behind the scenes. But even with that, I'm not going to be wrestling in JAP because my time is done in JAP. Now it's my turn to help out. I know you're saying no, Andrew, but my time in JAP is done because unless something happens, let me give you an example. Private Party is one of my favorite tag teams. I might be giving away stuff by saying this. But Private Party is one of my favorite tag teams because they're young, they're ultra talented. Last year at House of Glory Beyond, we had a match that killed everything in life. You know what I mean? We just destroyed it. First time ever wrestling them. Destroyed it. We had such a chemistry with them on the first match that everybody who watched was like, man, damn! You know what I mean? So, let's say Private Party is JP's top tag team. If they go through everybody, and then at certain points, maybe an anniversary show, and they say, we want the Hit Squad, it'll happen. But unless that happens, it's not going to happen. You're not going to see us there because it's not our time anymore to shine there. There's other places that we can shine. It's their time to shine there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, my love for JP goes beyond what I do in the ring. And, you know, I want to make sure that in part of carrying Fat Frank's legacy with giving people an opportunity, because that's what Frank was always about. He gave everybody an opportunity, no matter what. No matter, you could be anybody. You could be Rockshaw. I love Rockshaw, but he'll never be in the WWE. Doesn't matter though. Frank gave him a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, people like that, he always gave a chance to. People like me, he always gave a chance. Key, he gave us all a shot. Jay Lethal. Yeah, Jay. You know what I mean? He gave us all a shot. Some of us ran with it, others didn't. You know what I mean? So, but it didn't matter to Frank. He just wanted people to come to JP and be like, this is where I got my opportunity. This is where I started my path. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to do now. Trying to continue that legacy of opportunity because nobody's really doing it. You know, if you look at Wrestlpro, they're giving their students the opportunity, but you have to go through the school. They're not really bringing in outside indie talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Janela was the last breakthrough indie talent, maybe me. But as you guys see, I'm not on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, they're not really, it's their guys.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of places are doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's why you have a school.
Yeah.
You have a school, so one, you have a little bit extra income, and two, you can groom those guys to be, you know, the next whoever, Dan Moff or Kevin Matthews or whatever. You know what I'm saying? CZW does it, but CZW is willing to bring in more guys. You know what I mean? NYWC does it. You know, it's all the same model. They're bringing their guys that they trained from the beginning, or that they, you know, they see them at the school every week.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that they can come in, not the outside as much. You know,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. But with JP, we don't have a school. So we have to use Worldwide. We have to use our shows because that's the opportunity that these guys are going to get. Otherwise, there's going to be nothing. You know? I mean, I could help fill a stacked lineup, but what's that going to do? We're going to spend more money. Nobody's going to get a chance to shine. You know what I mean? If you don't have a place like that, then why get into wrestling in the first place? You want a place that you know has credibility with the fans, and you know that people can make an opportunity from that chance to go to the next level. Look at EYFBO.
Yeah.
EYFBO, great tag team, wrestled them for 2.5, 3 years straight. They weren't getting any burn. Doing Beyond, doing all this crazy stuff. They just weren't getting that opportunity. I mean, if me and Danny show up and we get the call for TNA and we show up, they don't get the chance. But because we couldn't, they got the opportunity. And now look at what they're doing with the opportunity. That's why I love DYFBO. I love them. I don't want to say it past tense. Like, I love them, or I still love them, even though fuck them for what they did to us at Wrestlpro in Orlando. But, you know, I'm nobody's more proud of them than me because I've seen them from when, in like 2011, I think it was, we wrestled them. And they were young kids. I mean, they're still young now, but now they've matured into men. And I get to see them go and do it on a worldwide platform, which I've been telling them for the last 2 years. You guys are good enough to be on TV. When you get there, it's going to be a whole new experience. But you're good enough to make it on TV and kill it. And not just get it to TV, because some guys make it to TV and they don't care. They're just like, I'm on TV. I can just, relax. They're hungry. And when you see them, you see that they're doing everything they can to make sure everybody's chanting their name at the end of the night. You know what I mean? That's something that I've seen from day one with them, and I've been telling them, feeding to them, telling them, look, you guys can do it. You guys can kill it. You can be kings. You just got to believe it yourself and get there. They got the opportunity. Now they're running with the ball. You know how many belts they have now? Like 15? You know what I'm saying? Like, relax with that gold, son. Some of us got to make money on the indies too. You know?
Now, with JP, are you guys kind of, I don't know, I guess it's just me being a smart mark.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys kind of like working with like UWA Elite or anything like that? Because, you know, from a fan, just noticing same show, same location, it makes you think,
Yeah. This is the thing. I was looking at a venue, helping look for a venue. The venue where Pro Wrestling Magic and Violent Suffering run is an affordable venue. You know what I mean? It's a nice looking building. Yeah. And I was like, maybe we could run there. So, and then I thought about it more, and I was like, these two companies run there already, and we're probably going to use the same talent. Why don't we do something a little bit different? And the one thing that JP has always been good at is good community relations with other wrestling companies. We've run shows with CZW, with New Japan, with New York companies, with other Pennsylvania companies we've run shows with. And UWA is a company that is near and dear to my heart because they let me come in and have fun with my brother Louie. You know what I mean? And we were able to do a whole bunch of fun stuff, and it resurrected my love and passion for being in the ring. So I always try to look out for them. You know what I mean? So I had reached out to them. I was like, hey, since you're doing an early show this month, would you guys mind doing an early show next month? And they were all about it. And they're like, yeah, sure. So we worked it out. It's not really a spoiler, but there's only, I think, 3 talent. I'm trying to think. It's either 3 or 4 pieces of talent that are working both shows. And the reason being is, if we go in there and we are the early show and one of our guys destroys a UWA Elite guy. What does that do for the UWA Elite guy? Nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially if he has to wrestle. How's he going to get destroyed and then an hour and a half later he's their top dog?
Winning, yeah.
You know, because a lot of fans are going to stay for both shows. You know? So I talked to Dave, the owner of UWA, and he was the one that was like, would you mind making sure that none of my guys get killed? So rather than do that, there's enough talent that I know. So Kyle Beast and Arcadia are the two guys that you could figure out, UWA. And there's two more guys, but I mean, they're being given an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? It's not for them to go in and just be jobbers.
Right.
You know, I want everybody to shine. Even if they're losing, I want them, the way I told the guys, this is an opportunity for you to make us remember you. If we can remember you and what you did tonight, even if we don't have you on the next show, you're going to be on one of the other shows after. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you can make us remember something that you did, stand out, be different. If the crowd starts asking for you, we're going to listen and we're going to use you again. You know what I mean? And, it's been a very good response from the talent. It's a lot of young, new talent. So majority of them, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard because you guys follow the indies. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, most of the JP fans, if there are hardcore JP fans like that, wouldn't know a lot of the talent. You know what I mean? So I look at Worldwide as actually three things. It's an opportunity for talent. It's a way for us to, audition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity for us to advertise and display who the new talent is. We're advertising the October show. So everything we're doing is building towards the October show because we don't have any shows in between. Honestly, you know what I mean? Like, well, I can sit here and lie. Well, we're building up towards great things and blah, blah, blah. But why? Why lie? You guys know nobody runs during the summertime. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to run in September when school's back in session because everyone spends their money on school clothes and gear and stuff like that. You know what I mean? October is when everybody runs. All right, fine. We're not going to have any shows. At least let's have this Worldwide. Now, we could spread out the material that we get from the Worldwide and make sure we get a ton of promos so you know who these characters are. And you can figure out who the guys that are going to be on the October show and in the future. You know what I mean? Because, again, like I said, just because they're on the Worldwide doesn't mean that they're going to be on October show, but doesn't mean that we're not going to use them after that. If I put anybody on this show, I have full intention of using them again. And I hope everybody understands that, which I'm pretty sure they do. But, it's just we need a vehicle to advertise what matches are coming on while you still are paying attention to what wrestling is going on. You know what I mean? Because obviously, people love wrestling. They want to see wrestling. They want to see fighting. They want to see action. So you have to make sure you have something for them to see when you're making your announcements of who's going to be on the October show. You know what I mean? If I could do it in a cost-effective manner, then we won the battle because we don't have to pay for that advertisement like we would normally for a Rawway show because we have the Worldwide taping. And I hope that it works because then we could do it in between every show. And we could go, if you think about it technically, everybody's running monthly. That's fine. Some places have their big crowds. But if you notice, the trend is everybody who's running monthly going down. Yeah. Houses are getting smaller. Because in this area, you have, 30, 40 companies?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
So why would I pay $40 to go see you when I could pay $10 or $15 2 weeks later? You know what I mean? And it's the majority of the same guys. Yeah. So, if I could get it to where JP's running quarterly, once every 3 months, with a Worldwide in between to fill the gap, there's no reason why we can't have 1,000, 1,500, as long as we build a good product with talent that people can get behind and invest in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you can do some companies do the dream match every month. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's only so many dream matches that you can have.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And look, it's kind of running thin now when you look at what's going on.
Yeah.
Because everybody's bringing in a Keith Lee. Everybody's bringing in Donovan Dijak. They're great. I love those two guys. I would love to wrestle them more. I've actually wrestled both of them in separate matches, but I would love to wrestle them more. But they're in high demand, you know? How many times can you see Keith Lee debut against somebody or Donovan Dijak debut against somebody? You know what I mean? You're going to know that Keith Lee's going to beat the guy. You're going to know Donovan Dijak's going to beat the guy.
Kind of like Ryback and Cody every month.
Yeah.
They spread the two of them out every once in a while.
And the thing is, Cody, how awesome is Cody? He's having a great run. And he's an awesome guy to have in your locker room.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, but how many times can you see him wrestle the same guy over and over again?
Yeah.
And I think, like, especially with JP, it's like how you said run the shows quarterly. Like, for us, it's like when we see the flyer, it's just like, yo, dude, you know, a JP show is coming. And it's like something you have to get to it because you don't know when you're going to see JP again. Like, it's that special.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, especially in that location, I'm telling probably Wrestlpro, UWA are probably, like, where I've seen, like, the most loyal fans. You know, Wrestlpro is always going to pack it out.
Yep.
UWA, those people who live in South River,
they go religiously. No pun intended, because this is the church.
And Colin even told us, like, their fans, like, they won't even watch WWE.
Yeah, no.
Like, all they watch is UWA.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's good for you guys, too, because it gives them, you know, new faces to see. And also it kind of gives them, you know, a little bit of a reassurance if you see, like, oh, Arcadia and Kyle Beast are putting on for these guys. So we should start, you know, watching these guys. Let's go to their next show. Maybe it's the next city over. Let's go to that one.
But that's the whole thing. It's, you know, when we're working with a UWA, we want to get their talent. There's guys there like TJ Blade and Brandon the Bull. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of guys. They've been going to JP since they were 10, 9, 10, 11. I saw a video of me interviewing Travis Blade when he was like 8 years old. You know what I'm saying? And Brandon the Bull when he was like 5. Oh, you know what I mean? They've been coming all that time. So they know the history and tradition of JP. They respect it. They're becoming good wrestlers. There's no reason why they can't get that exposure to the JP fan base because it's a good story. Look at Matt Tremont. Matt Tremont was a CZW fan. Just so happened, he saw the thing for the school. He was like, I'm going to be in CZW. Not only is he in CZW, he's the king of CZW. You know what I'm saying? Like, who represents that company more than him? Nobody. But it's Matt Tremont. He made it. That's how much passion he had for the company. Why can't a TJ Blade or Brandon the Bull or any of those guys from UWA do the same thing for JP? But they need the exposure first. You know, a lot of JP fans don't even know UWA exists. The same thing. A lot of UWA Elite fans know that JP exists because they'll come and I see them at both shows. But, you know, they don't know the most of the guys that we have. So we're going to expose our guys to their guys. We're going to expose their guys to our guys. Mix them up. Why can't we pack both shows?
It's funny because I grew up too with Tommy Guns. And I grew Follow when he was here. He was like, "Oh, I used to be the kid of the Mohawk," and I'm like, "I kind of remember you." Because like I remember going to those shows, and you could probably see me too. Like whenever like a fight broke out, I was like right in the middle of Necro Butcher fighting with like somebody, and I'm just like in the middle, like kill him as a kid. But it was so funny, like you just tie that all together, like just memories of me like sitting with like I didn't even know that they were there too, like and just so funny. Like,
their one brother was Brawhead. Wait, was it Travis that was Brawhead? TJ Blade? He used to wear a bra on his head. He had a gimmick. You know what I mean? It was like
just got a gimmick.
Wacky. You know what I'm saying? We got to find out which one was Brawhead. I think it was TJ Blade. You know, but like Arcadia was another one. He was coming to shows. His first show was one of the Club Benet shows in off of 35, Sayreville. And that show that he went to, I ended up getting a little loud, and I tried to beat the crap out of Frankie Stars for real. And Arcadia says he always remembers hearing me scream and punching this guy in the face. And he's like, that's fucking real. I don't know what the hell happened. That's fucking real. You know what I mean? And then, like, you know, he said it too, because I've been hanging out with him since like 2004, 2005. So, like, once he started, I was like, we're immediately drawn together. We're mad cool. We have the same type of humor and everything. And he's telling me the story, and I'm laughing because I'm just thinking about punching Frankie Stars in the head and like yelling, like, "Oh, fuck that shit! He's not gonna be in my match. Fuck him!" You know what I mean? Like, just wacky shit like that. But that's part of the thing that makes JP special. There's so much history, everybody has a story, no matter what. You know what I mean? And it could be from any time period, but everybody has their story with JP. And that's one of the cool things about, having it still around is that tradition keeps going. And hopefully, there's other kids that say one day, man, I went to JP and, I saw Arcadia and Kyle the Beast and, whoever else, and they killed it. You know what I mean? Or, you never know. There might be somebody who's inspired by Black G's. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, that dude is so little, but he kills everybody. That's so, I want to be him when you know what I mean? Like,
Black G's is awesome.
Black G's is the man. He's awesome. I love him. He almost killed me last year. We were wrestling CZW. He went to give me a suplex.
Oh, Pepper Park?
Yeah. And, actually, I just put it on Facebook the other day, when me and Homicide teamed up against him and, Pep. And he went to give me an exploder, and for whatever reason, my body didn't go all the way over, and I landed on my face. I was fine, you know what I mean? But, like, everybody's like, oh, my God, you're so dead. You know what I mean? He was like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's go.
When he grabbed the mic, and he was like, I want to face bigger names and bigger talent, I was like, yo, maybe this is the start of something, because it wasn't, like, I didn't feel like, Jersey All Pro was just going to, like, disappear again.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, like, they gave him the title. He just cut this awesome promo in the ring. Like, this is going to go so much further now.
Just remember what you just said. That's all I'm telling you. Just remember what you just said. Jeez is someone that, he's another one that he's been on WWE TV. He's been on TNA TV. He's been all over the world. And I feel like he's never gotten the opportunity to shine. You know what I mean? Because whether it was Blackout was one of the most awesome stables of all time.
Mm-hmm.
They were a label, not a stable. And, like, they believed that, and the whole group was down for the cause. But the star was always Ruckus. The mouth was always Kingston. You know what I mean? Jeez was always left out.
Mm-hmm.
Not left out, but he was behind the scenes more. I definitely feel like he's someone who has a lot of gas left in the tank, and he wants to show the world, like, fuck you that you slept on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know I'm not even built nowhere near like G's.
Mm-hmm.
He's shredded.
He is.
And I know he don't want to hear this. He's a little bit older than me. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't know it because he looks really young, but he's up there. You know what I mean? He's got so much heart and desire for this business. Like, whenever I talk to him, you could tell, you just see it, you feel it. And I know that if you give him the right people to work with, he's going to knock it out the park every single time. And people are going to start to get behind him more and more and more because he's just got it in him. He wants to show the world. You know what I mean? And when you have guys like that who are down for the cause like that and they have a chip on their shoulder, you always do better for some reason.
Yeah, we definitely felt that when we spoke to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's a real dude.
Yeah, he's definitely
awesome.
You know something? He's me and Homicide have talked about him in that part of the reason why promoters are scared to use him is because he's real.
Yeah.
Like, when you talk to him, you know that's really
Who he is.
who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love him, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. Let me just tell you, if you ever get a chance, go to a strip club with him. That's all I'm saying.
What about Craig Steele?
Well, Craig Steele, dude, let me tell you, Craig Steele, he's one of those guys. Every time I see him, he makes me laugh so hard, that dude. So, but Jeez is definitely, you know what I mean? I'll hang out with Jeez any day. Although Craig can hook it up with the girls, but Jeez will get the hookup on his own, you know what I mean?
So, wait a minute. Speaking of the Craig and strip clubs with this, you've worked not only in one industry that most teenage boys want, but another one. You kind of told us last time about it. So I want you to kind of tell us the story a little bit.
Which one? I mean,
go into it, like, I guess kind of how you fell into
He's
it.
got a lot, man.
I'm saying, but which career? Because there's wrestling. I had a little bit of I had to hook up with porn.
Yes, that.
It wasn't that big of it wasn't that big. What happened was we were working for 3PW, and it was run at the time by Jasmine St. Clair, and it was weird. Like, she would have me meet her in the city, rent a car, and I would be the one driving down to Philly, to go do the shows. Mm-hmm. And in that driving time, we got real close, and I was kind of like her assistant, you know what I mean? And so, like, I would get to talk to people like Jenna Jameson and Ron Jeremy and stuff like that because of her. But, and eventually I had friends who got into it that I didn't know through her connection. I just knew on my own. Mm-hmm. And, they just, like, I don't want people to think like I was in it or like I fucking filmed anything like that. I just had a lot of connections that like, you know, if I wanted to go to a scene and watch, or if I wanted to go and be a part of, I could have. But I did. Yeah, for real. I could have been the pizza boy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know what it is? I could talk to anybody, no matter what it is. I could talk to anybody straight up about anything. And the thing is, like, you guys see, I like to joke. I love making people laugh. And when I do that, people get relaxed around me. So they're able to talk to me more straight up about things. It gets me into trouble sometimes. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But because they're comfortable around me, they can tell me things more. And so when I get like my friends who are females, who are in the porn industry, telling me about what they did that day, it's like, I can't really be like, man, that's fucking hot. You know what I mean? I have to be like, oh, that's cool. You know, like, because if I do anything other than that, then they lose the trust in me. But, and in reality, most of the stuff, it is cool. But at the same time, it's just what everybody does. Whether you do it at home with your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, if you do it on a porn set, everybody does it. It may not be to that extreme. You know what I'm saying? Where you got 5 fists inside one, you know what I mean? But like, you know, everybody does that. You know what I mean? Everybody has sex. Everybody does it. So when you put it in that term and there's no awkwardness towards it, and they see that you're not awkward, then they're like, all right, I could talk to him and trust him. You know, and that's kind of how Steve Mack came along, because when I was in high school, I used to be able to talk to every girl. It didn't matter how hot they were, how ugly they were, how cool they were, how uncool they were. I would talk to everybody. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? I played football, but I wasn't a jock. You know what I mean? I hung out with the geeks. I hung out with the rock band. I hung out with the band members. I hung out with everybody, cheerleaders. Everybody I was cool with. You know what I mean? And it wasn't because I was trying to be like Mr. Popularity. It was just because that's who I am. I could talk to anybody about anything. And Key, when we were trying to figure out our names, when I said something about Monsta Mack, he was like, yeah, it makes sense because you're always talking to girls. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right, you know? And, like, it stuck. You know, the Steve Mack part, it just stuck because of that. You know what I mean? So I was able to, you know, it like, became, like part of who my character was. You know what I mean? That I'm able to talk to girls like that. And, you know, so, like, when you have friends that are in porn, they can always tell who the guys are that can't handle the discussion, and they can tell who are the guys that are cool. So when they see me, they know I'm cool, and they're just like, you know. So yesterday I had like 5 guys. Oh, okay, cool. You had burgers? No, I had 5 guys. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, all right, well, that's cool. You know what I mean? I had burgers. You know what I mean?
So on the night, tonight is the NBA draft. Just got a notification. 76ers took Markelle Fultz.
What number was 76ers?
The first pick. They got number 1. Yeah, they traded up to get number 1.
Okay.
So I want to propose the question to you. We got Monsta Mack. He has Monsta Mack's World Wrestling, MMWW. You get a draft pick. I'm going to give you 2 picks. I'm going to give you singles wrestler, and since you're one of the greatest tag teams ever, the Hit Squad, you get to pick a tag team. To start your business, who are you picking?
The very first pick would probably be Kyle the Beast.
Nice.
And, you know, not because I've teamed with him, but because I've seen him. He's another one. I've seen him grow from being a child to a man. Yeah. And there's so much potential in him that I see every time I see him. Everything he does, he gets better. You know what I mean? And sometimes I have to yell at him. Not yell at him, but I have to be like, watch your back, bro. Like, be careful. Because I see that there's a lot of people around him that aren't looking out for him. And they're not looking out for his, but he should be focused on getting on TV. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's got the size, the height, the look. You know, it's just something about him. When I knew that Mafia wasn't going to be at CZW last month, May, I right away, I called DJ and was like, look, he's not going to be there. We could give him till the day of the show, but I'd rather have Kyle the Beast there. DJ was like, all right, cool. We'll have Kyle the Beast then. And the reason being is because I knew that he was looking for an opportunity. And he knocked it out the park. Like, there was nothing he did wrong at all in that match. And that was another one where when we left the match, we didn't win, but they gave us a standing ovation. You know what I mean? nothing I did, because I only did like 2 or 3 things. I didn't do too much. I wanted the young guys to. I knew by Moff not being there, it was probably going to be my last CZW match, because the deal was they wanted Hit Squad, and if Moff couldn't be there, they weren't going to use us anymore. So knowing that was the other reason why I picked Kyle. I was like, well, this is my opportunity to help someone else. Mm-hmm. And, I'm pretty sure they're going to use Kyle more, because they had a long talk with him afterwards. And they're going to do some things with him going on. I don't know when, but I know he's going to be a part of the roster. You know what I mean? And like, that was what I wanted to happen. If I was going to be out, at least let me help somebody that I know would do something with it. And, Kyle is someone for a long time that, like I said, he's my guy. I always look out for him. I make sure that when I have any say, he's put in the best possible situation, because he could carry the load and handle it and take it to the next level. As far as tag teams, I want to say EYFBO, but being there on TV now, I'm gonna not say them. But if I could give you a top 3 tag teams, EYFBO would be first, because I love those 2 guys. We have so much fun with them, and they bring out the best in the Hit Squad, and we bring out the best in them. And like, when you see, all right, so you guys have been watching New Japan, you guys saw how like Okada and Shibata took it to a next level, and then Kenny Omega and Okada took it to another level.
6 stars.
Ridiculous. And then the last one, what was 7 stars on the second match? Yeah. Like, ridiculous. But that's kind of how it is with us. In this business, you need a dance partner. Without the dance partner, you're not doing shit. But when we dance with them, we bring it to such another level, because they're us. Well, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they're us. You know what I mean? And they know that, and they know that's how we see them. They don't want to let us down, so they step up. And every time we're in there, either a tooth gets knocked out or a shoulder gets blown out, whatever it is, but we know that we did it because it's our love for the business, and it's our love for each other, in that we want to see each other be put in the best possible spotlight. And, that's just something that we always do. And like I said before, nobody's prouder than me of them for what they're doing on TV right now, because in a month and a half, they took over. They have both companies' belts, and they're doing other stuff. They have House of Glory's titles. You know what I mean? They're representing everywhere they go. And that's something that I knew that they could do. You know what I mean? I've been telling them for a long time. So, that stuff is why I would make them number 1. Number 2 would be War Machine. War Machine are 2 guys, big. You believe it when they're hitting people that it hurts. You know what I mean? Because pretty much it does. You know what I'm saying? But, like, when I see War Machine, though, I see 2 guys that they're on the same page all the time, no matter what. Like, there's no ego in them. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure one of them could have an ego over the other, but there's no ego. And they both work as a unit. They both are always on the same page talking to each other. You know what I mean? Hey, you see that? No, you see this? Yeah, you saw that? You saw this? You did this? Yeah, let's do that. You know what I mean? That's how they talk. And that's how you know the sign of a good tag team, when they're constantly talking and saying, hey, did you catch? Did you whatever? Questioning, making sure that the other one's on point, And then the third tag team is Private Party, because I feel like they're in that underdog spot because of their size, because of their youth. People are starting to know about them now, but they're not on that level that Mike and Angel were a year ago. You know what I'm saying? They're not even close to that level. They're at the cusp of becoming indie names. You know what I mean? And they have so much talent, so much creative thinking. When you're a tag team, you have to be creative, because there's only so much stuff a tag team can do.
Fun.
But they're fun. Exactly. A lot of fun.
Yeah, like I saw them once live. I've seen them a couple times on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the anniversary show against Pat Buck and Tim Matthews, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yo, these guys are like they got something, like you were saying. Like kind of remind me of like a more of a serious kind of like a New Day kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
but they're fun, man. They're great to watch.
What they remind me of is Special K back in the day for Ring of Honor, in that their gimmick is that they party, but they could carry your main event if you put them in that spotlight with the right guys. Right now they need more exposure against top veteran tag teams, and they're getting that, but they're the guys that in 5 years, when they're on top of your company, they're not just on top of the tag team division, they're on top of the whole company. They're the guys that are main event. They're what the Hit Squad was to JP in 2000, 2001, 2002. We were the main event. You know what I mean? That's what they could be. The only thing that's really stopping them is their youth. Everybody's stupid when they're young. I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying everybody is stupid and they do stupid things when they're young. I did them, Moff did them, Key, Homicide, all of us did stuff that was dumb. And that could end up happening with them. And it could derail them because we see, especially with social media, all it takes is, oh, he ate bacon? How dare he? Oh my God. How can you trust someone who eats bacon? That's how it is. People are so sensitive. So they don't take into account that people are young, and when they're young, they do stupid things because that's what you're supposed to do when you're young. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes. You're supposed to do stupid things so that way never to do it again. And it's not because you're a bad person. Just that's what happened. And I think that's the one thing that could be their potential downfall is their youth because I think the one Cassidy is like 19 and Mark Quinn is like 21, 22. He's real young, you know what I mean? But he's been around since he was like 17, 16. I remember first meeting him. I was like, wow, this kid is small. He's tiny. You know what I mean? But, he's becoming a man. And same thing with Cassidy, They're both learning. And they're both learning under great people. Red and Brian Excel and all those guys at House of Glory. So they're getting the right training. And now they got to leave that environment, start to expand into the wild. And, they got to get around and see what's out there. And eventually, they'll be in the right spot, given the right opportunity, and, see what happens. One more tag team, if I can, is Scarlet and Graves. Nice. Scarlet and Graves, because, again, the same thing with them, they're young. But I think the problem with Scarlet and Graves is you could clearly see that Desmond's becoming the breakout star. So he's starting to get used more singles. Zachary is pretty awesome. I've seen him in singles matches, and he's just killed it. I think this weekend he's wrestling Matt Seidel in the Midwest somewhere. And, that's going to be nuts. You know what I mean? Yeah. But Desmond is the breakout star.
He's been killing it.
But when they were focused as a tag team, they did some incredible stuff. You know what I mean? And, you could see that the tag team isn't the priority as much anymore. And it's a shame because they would have had an amazing run as, the top. I mean, they're CZW Tag Team Champ. No, they lost the belts. I forgot. But if they were given that run to hold on to CZW Tag Team belts, they would do some crazy stuff because they take it to another level. You know what I mean? And then you put them with the Christ Brothers and they just forget it. They just steal the show every time they're together, so those are my 4 tag teams.
Nice. You started a whole company.
Yeah.
Well, it just, like I said before, man, all I do is watch wrestling.
Yeah.
I actually hate to watch on video because you don't get the same feeling. Yeah. When you're live,
it's true.
It's so much better. Whenever we have Beyond, and I know that we're on later, I'll watch at least the first half of the show because I could see, the young New England guys and the veteran guys that are working with those guys and see who would work where, you know what I mean? And I'm always trying to find all right, who hasn't been down to Jersey? Ace Romero. All right, Ace Romero. Let's try to do some stuff. And then, of course, Ace Romero gets fucking booked by fucking every company in Jersey now. Motherfucker. You know what I mean? But guys like that, I'm always trying to get down here and get more exposure because you only see them up there. You don't see them down here. You know what I mean? And it's not to be like, hey, I got you in here. But it's it's cool that I helped get them in here. You know what I mean? For me, again, it all comes down to it's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love wrestling and, a lot of the stuff that I do, I do because I love wrestling and I want to see, I try to be like a scientist and I want to see what's the results of this experiment. Yeah. You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, it works.
So, just recently you were at SWF against Steve Scott. Do you see any breakout talent over there? Because they kind of revamped what they have been doing for 4 or 5 years before that. this past year they just revamped everything. You know,
Mhm.
you see anybody that they brought in that you could possibly use that jersey All Pro, or
Well,
other than Steve Scott? 'Cause
Steve Scott, he's a JP
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
another one that he's been a fan of JP since he was 13, 14, coming to shows.
Kyle,
And then,
Arcadia
Kyle.
there.
Yep. Yeah, the normal suspects. There's a couple of guys. TJ Marconi, somebody that he should definitely be on TV on the regular. I mean, he's got the size, the talent. He's so good, and his promo skills are just awesome. A lot of people don't even realize that he could cut an awesome promo. You know what I mean? Because
the Jack Swagger one.
no, I haven't seen it yet. I heard about it though.
Yeah,
I heard about it. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. He could talk. You know what I mean? It's rare that you could get someone who has the size, the look, the ability, and the ability to talk. You know, but he's definitely one of those guys that I see. There's a couple of guys down there. I think right now though, they need to establish themselves. The newer guys that are given the chance down there, they need to establish themselves there first. Once they start making noise with the revamping of the company and stuff like that, then you could look at what they can bring to the table for the other companies. They have to plant their feet first. Then they grow and spread out. You know what I'm saying? So, but Marconi is the one because I see him everywhere. I see him all over the place. He's the one I definitely see that right now you could pluck him and he'll be on TV, and he'll make a lot of noise, Obviously, Arcadia and Kyle, they're always all over the place, It's funny because I had someone tell me, Arcadia sucks. And it was someone that I'm cool with. And I said, are you out of your fucking mind? Like,
right.
Well, I had to be cool about it. You know what I'm saying? Because but I was like, how are you going to say Arcadia sucks? Have you watched him?
You're
like,
right.
yeah.
When I started watching him, you could tell. Like, I was watching his progression and stuff like that. And now, I mean, we saw him against Brandon the Bull in a ladder match. And it was just like, holy crap. Like, and they followed a match with Brandon Kirk and Bowens. And
a chair match.
Yeah,
They
a
followed
chair
a
Oh, no,
chair
I
match.
remember. Yeah, no.
chair match.
Well,
yeah.
I was there earlier that day for that, and I saw them. I was talking to both Bowens, Kirk, and I was like, are you guys going to kill yourselves? And they were like, yeah, stupidly. I was like, oh, okay, that's good. And then I was talking to Arcadia. I was like, are you going to be all right? He was like, yeah, we were just going to have our match. You know what I mean? Like, that's how he is, Arcadia. He's mad chill,
It's funny because UWA, I was like, because we got there towards the second half, and they had the match, Brandon Kirk and Bones, and they brought a body bag, and that match was sick. And then I was like, oh man, I feel bad for the team that the match has to follow, and then I forgot how good, not to say
Yeah, no. You just got so caught up with the main event. Yeah.
the second match was good too, and
Yeah.
the second class match, the tag match, I'm like, oh shit, this match was good too, and then I'm like, well, how are they gonna follow a third? And I've been to UWA shows a couple times, and every match just seems to get progressively better on the card. I mean, there's rarely a dud match there that I've seen, and I'm like, how the hell are they gonna top this? And then you're like, well, not only did they, they were on the same par. You're like, we walked out of there like, I couldn't even decide which one was so much better. I mean, and I was like, damn, it was a good night.
Isn't that the best problem a company can have, though? Like, when you have two, 3 matches that knock it out the park, then you can rely on those guys in the future to not only carry on and steal the show the next show, but to get people to come in and watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, the one thing I've learned is that, and again, this is part of the reason why I don't like watching tapes. You watch a tape, all it takes is one bad mic. And you don't hear the crowd, you don't hear the reaction, you don't hear the bump. When you're there live, you hear the ring, you see the lights, you see the camera, you see the commentators, you see the guys in the ring bouncing off the ropes. How cool is it to watch the ropes still bounce after the guys stop hitting the ropes? And they're still that. Like, if they take a bump, let's say 2 guys hit the rope, duck, 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 close on each other. They're down, but the ropes are still shaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit like that, visuals like that are so cool to me. And, that's part of the reason why I love wrestling is that there's only visuals like that in wrestling. You might get something like that in boxing, but the ring is too stiff. MMA, there's no ropes. You know what I'm saying? So, wrestling, you got a whole bunch of cool visuals, right? But then on top of that, you have guys going out there and killing themselves. And that's when it starts to become artwork. You know what I mean? That's when it becomes, a painting, because you have the background visuals, which are pretty beautiful. then you get a masterpiece where just so many colors and it's so vibrant. The contrast and color just becomes amazing. You know what I mean? And then you have another match that does it. And it's like, shit, how did I get 2 Mona Lisas? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then, you know, people are like, man, I heard this Mona Lisa was fucking ridiculous. Let's see what's up for next month. Let's see if they create another Picasso or another Mona Lisa, whatever it is that they're going to do. Let's see what... And then it goes from being Picasso Mona Lisa to Kyle the Beast Arcadia. Let's see what Kyle the Beast Arcadia are going to do. Let's see what Brandon Kirk, Jeff Cannonball, let's see what those guys are going to do. Let's see what Brandon the Bull's going to do next. You know what I'm saying? And that's because they invest in what they see, because they see these guys are killing themselves, going all out for that company. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the most beautiful things about wrestling. You know, JAP had a time, you could go from the beginning to end, you weren't going to find a bad match, period. Yeah. We could try to throw a bad match at you. It wasn't going to happen because everybody felt what was going on. You know, when you're part of the locker room and you feel there's just talent everywhere. I mean, look, JP at one time had AJ Styles, Joe, American Dragon, Low Key, Homicide, LAX, Hit Squad, Jay Lethal, you know, all these guys. Bro, we had Samoa Joe versus Okada in JP. Who knows that Samoa Joe is going to become Samoa Joe? I mean, we knew Samoa Joe was already going to be Samoa. Who knows that Okada is going to be Okada? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we had that match in JP, and it killed. It was awesome. You know what I mean? It was awesome for one reason more than the other, in that Joe at the time was going through kind of a bad run in TNA, and he comes out for JP, and everyone goes nuts. Like, it just, he even said it on Twitter that night. JP reinvigorated my love. Thank you so much. And from that point on, he got serious in TNA and started destroying people. You know what I mean? And like, that happened because JP was just, everything that was going on was just so positive. And when you're around positive, you build more positive and more and more and more. That happens a lot in wrestling, not just in JP, but everywhere, you know? And when you have a negative, it starts to build that way too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when you're around positive stuff, people that are hungry, people that have desire, people that have, you know, just a hunger to just steal it and be the star, that's what UWA has right now. They have a lot of guys that are hungry and want to be the top dog. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, you know, because they know Kyle the Beast, he's going to be gone soon. Arcadia, he's probably going to be gone soon. You know what I mean? They're top dogs right now. They're not going to be top dogs for much longer. Brandon the Bull knows that. That's why Brandon the Bull is champ right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got a whole bunch of guys underneath who are just waiting. You know what I mean? And it's not bad competition. Like I said, it's good competition. You want that competition because those are the guys that are going to make you be better in the ring. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's good to see UWA have a spot like that. And again, that's why we're working with UWA Elite. You know, because I know from firsthand experience how hungry that locker room is, how respectful that locker room is. I know that they have a bunch of guys who are JAP fans, and they're going to want to bring their friends and family to watch JAP, and then they're going to keep them there to watch them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
how does it make you feel that, you know, all these huge names have come through JAP, and yet, like, when everybody ever mentions JAP, they always think of you guys, like you four, I'm referring to, obviously, like you, Homicide, Low-Key, and Mafia, or of course Fat Frank. But like, it's like you guys are the icons, or like the four horsemen, if you would, of JP.
It is kind of crazy because, again, like, we have history with AJ Styles, we have history with Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson. I mean, so many guys have come through. The Briscoe brothers, even the Young Bucks have been there. You know what I mean? Teddy Hart. You know, at the time, you could have said he was the face of JP because, you know, it's crazy. I know this is a shout out to a couple of my friends on Facebook and Twitter, Deanna and what's his face? Oh my God, he's going to kill me. This kid, the referee for Game Changer that he runs it now. Oh my God. I'm so horrible with names right now.
No, it was the referee in Game Changer.
Well, he was the CZW referee.
Kevin Keenan?
No. As I open my nonsense, but they all were sending me out. They're all no. I'm gonna get his name in a second. They're all sending me clips and stuff from the Teddy Hart interview I did with him.
Oh, really?
Like, that has been, I said to him, I was like, that's going to be the most, if I die today, I feel like that promo with Teddy Hart will be the most talked about thing that I've ever done in my career. Because I get more people every day who hit me up and they're like, Steve Mack, you've seen you do the move 1,000 times. You never heard anybody before. And I'm like, but bro, like, that's not even, like, that was just such a throwaway, like, and I get it, you know, Teddy Hart's a character and, you know what I mean? But, oh, damn, he's going to kill me because I can't remember his friggin' name.
It had to be me.
But, yeah, it was just, it's one of those things where, like,
Teddy was so amazing.
He really was.
I remember he did like a backflip and broke a chair.
Yeah.
And I took the chair home.
Dude, Teddy was on another level in that. Brett Lauderdale. Brett, I shouted you out, Brett. What you call? He's going to kill me because I'm going to see him this weekend. But what you call? Teddy was. He was another one. He had a big chip on his shoulder. And he always felt like the world is against him. The world is against Teddy. Teddy versus the world. And he had to shut everybody up. And that's what he did. He shut everybody up. It was to a point where Homicide was getting booed and Teddy was getting cheered whenever they would wrestle each other. And it wasn't like that in the beginning, if you remember. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wanted to see the death of Teddy Hart, and they almost got it.
My fear was like the "fuck you, Teddy" chance, like when he no-showed.
Yeah. But then he would show up the next month, and they would love him again.
Yeah,
it was incredible, incredible. But he was just on another level. Like I said, he was the face of JP at the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, look at Kenny Omega. Like you brought up, yeah. But like you brought up Kenny Omega before, right?
Yeah.
I knew of Kenny Omega, but I didn't know Kenny Omega. DeMonto was the one. Between DeMonto and Kevin Matthews, those were the guys who got Kenny Omega into JAP because they were like, look, he's great talent. He just got released by WWE. He's not going to want that much because he just got released by WWE. He's going to do Japan, but he wants to do JAP. So put him in JAP. And he knocks out the park with DeMonto. Yeah. And he starts knocking out the park with everybody. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like, I saw that he was going to Japan more. And I was like, all right, he's going to be a big fan favorite over there because of his look. He's got the pretty boy style, you know what I mean? And then when I saw him jump to New Japan, I was like, oh, he's going to run the juniors. He's going to just destroy that whole division because he's that good. And then he jumps to heavy. And it's like, that's going to be rough because there's some heavies that are really, you know what I mean? They're on the rise, like Shibata and Okada. It's going to be hard to top them. I think if AJ doesn't leave, Omega's still a junior, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. AJ leaving, that opened up the door for Omega, and Omega blows up. You know what I mean? And it's not because he talked fans in the seat. His work was just ridiculous. Like, I said it to Homicide, you know, in my mind, because he's family, low-key is the best to me. You know what I mean? Everything he does, and this is coming from not just him being my family, but I watch him. I watch him prepare. I watch him train. I watch him just get into fight mode. You know what I mean? Nobody's better than my cousin. Right now, you look at Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is on a higher level than Loki to me. You know what I'm saying? And that's hard to admit because that's my family. You know what I mean? I'm sure I'll get punched in the face for saying it, but you know, Omega's just on a different universe right now, and Okada too. Dude, look at like I said the other day, if Okada took the rest of the year off, he would be the wrestler of the year.
Yeah.
Every match from the beginning of the year to last week with Omega just been unreal. You know, from the beatings he got from Minoru Suzuki. Minoru destroyed. I thought that was mean. Like, I thought that was a bully. Like, I was like, damn, son, why'd you beat him up so bad? You know what I mean? But not only you had that, you had the match with Shibata. I mean, Shibata can't even wrestle anymore because they went so hard. And then the match, even with Fowler, that I'm not a big Fowler fan, but Bad Luck Fowler, he had a great match. You know what I mean? And then the two with Omega. Like, how can you, who's having a better year than him right now? Nobody. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the problem is, though, I mean, he's young. He's only 29 years old. But by the time he's 40, if he keeps up the pace, he's going to be done. Like, he can't even walk. You know what I'm saying? So he's got to be careful. He has to, you know, and I know that they do pace it. You know what I mean? But he wrestles Omega at the Wrestle Kingdom. The next day, he's wrestling in a 6-man or 8-man at Kirk and Hall. And he's not taking it easy. He's still going. And he was beat up. Dude, I wrestled 20 minutes and I'm like, I need IV, please. You know what I mean? He went 50 minutes with Omega and they destroyed each other. They did so much crazy shit in that first match. And then they go into the next match and they get even more brutal with the stuff that they're doing. You know what I mean? And if you look at, so like the first match, the table up to the outside was the big, oof, damn, son. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'd have to shoot you if you did that to me. You know what I'm saying? Then they go into the second match and they're working body parts. They're destroying each other if you watch the last 10 minutes, every kick to Okada's face, every knee strike was hitting. There's the one where Omega hits the rope and catches him on his knees, catches Okada in the face. As a pro wrestler, I'm like, wow, he caught him legit. And I'm sure as a fan, you see that the same way. But I could see when it's a little extra. And they're 50 minutes in and he's still getting hit to the face. And they're both killing each other. You know what I mean? Every Rainmaker clothesline, he's catching him on the throat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you've never been clotheslined, you can't understand how much that sucks to get hit in the throat. You know what I mean? Because it just not only can't you breathe, but then you have that feeling of you just got hit and it stays there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's taking 3, 4, 5 of them every single time. Okada's killing him. How much damage is that doing to their body? You know what I mean? So Okada, as great as a year as he's having, he got to take it easy because he won't be able to walk. He's already established himself as one of the toughest and greatest New Japan champions ever. You know what I mean? They got to just make sure that he's in there for the long haul, especially if they're trying to compete with WWE. WWE, that's what they specialize in.
Yeah.
It's longevity. You know what I mean? Yeah. John Cena, 15 years now.
Undertaker,
yeah.
89 years. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, that's the one thing New Japan has to watch with Okada is, you know, I understand you have that kamikaze style. You just go balls to the wall, just go. And whatever happens, happens. But look at Shibata. Shibata can't wrestle. Most promising guy in the company. He was probably going to beat Okada for the title.
Think so?
Yeah, pretty sure. They were grooming him for a long time, and out of the three, Tanahashi, Nakamura, and Shibata that they started at the same time, he was the last one. They were I'm pretty sure they were going to put the belt on him. But now, he can't. He can't even get in the ring. You know what I'm saying? And it's a travesty. But they should have been telling him, watch that headbutt. I understand that's your gimmick. Watch that headbutt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't need to be hitting anybody that hard with your own head. Yeah. You know? It's stupid.
Yeah,
but,
even like the Patriot said, like wrestling in Japan, like took a toll on his body, and like you know, even like doing the missile from the top rope and everything, and like the whole, like you said, being in Japan though really did take an extra additional toll on his body.
You got to understand the rings are harder there, the ropes are harder there. You know, they don't feel sorry for you if you get hurt, and I don't mean that in a vicious, mean way. I'm just saying. To them, that's part of the glory of professional wrestling if you get hurt. Whereas here, it's like, no, we need you to be around because we need to make money. Over there, it's, you know, like I said, kamikaze. You know what I mean?
That's Tremont style.
Yeah, exactly.
Die by the sword.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is, you know?
So, Monsta Mack, I mean, we sat here a couple months ago with you. You said it was going to domino effect for us. And I was like, I don't think so. We had a couple of guests that we had lined up after talking to you. One guy, you know, we lost an audio for one, and we had to redo one, and you were like, you're gonna trickle down, and you thank you for believing in us, because now we do this every week. We have a different guest, and we're able to help other wrestlers get their story out that wouldn't normally do. You know, like C-Bunny, she had, you know.
I love C-Bunny.
We were our first podcast. And,
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Christian, too.
Kate Christian. That's another one. He's starting to gain a lot of buzz, too, man.
She was so afraid about coming on.
Really?
Speaking. And we were like, no, it sounds great. And,
that's the thing. I told her, I was like, I didn't even know you were deaf until, like, you told me you were deaf.
Yeah. So, you know, for us, you know, we really appreciate you taking a chance on us and helping us grow. And that's why we were able to get a deal with B Plus Radio. Beavis Player Radio, and you know, from us, I think collectively, I mean, you opened up so many doors for us, and we're just so fortunate that you came back to talk to us again.
And I will be coming back with Moff sometime. I don't know when we're going to work on that.
And I know I thanked you online, but the words, you can't really put into words, how grateful we are. I think I can speak for everybody here.
Yeah,
my wife knows whenever I say how she knows Monsta Mack because she's not like a big wrestling fan like I am. And I'll be like, the guy who gave us our big break.
Yeah, right.
That's how she knows you guys. The guy who helped us out from the beginning. She's like, that's how she knows Monsta Mack.
That's awesome.
And she doesn't remember anybody else, any of our other guests, but she remembers you for sure. That's
just make sure you edit out the sex talk when you play it. Honestly, if you guys didn't make it feel relaxed, it would just be another podcast. You know what I mean? If people saw the setup, it's a chill, relaxed environment, and I going into it, I didn't know if you guys were going to fucking rape me, mug me, stab me, you know what I'm saying? The good thing about being fat is nobody wants to kill a fat dude because then you got to drag his dead ass up, you know what I'm saying? Even if you chop him up, you're still heavy, you know what I'm saying? So nobody's going to want that. But, it was a good vibe and, I could feel it. And the one thing that I pride myself on is that I could tell when there's good people around me. You guys are all good guys, and I enjoy talking with you guys. I enjoy talking with anybody, but I enjoy talking with you guys because you guys, the history, what's going on. But not only that, you're just cool guys to talk to. You know what I'm saying? And I know every time I come on, it's always going to be a fun time because I could see it just by chilling with you guys. In the 5-10 minutes that we have before the show, everything's relaxed, everything's cool. You know what I mean? There's certain guys, you talk to them and it's like, that they just want to ask you questions about whatever it is that's going on. You know what I mean? And they don't really care about anything else. They don't want to hear about any stories or anything like that. But you guys want to hear everything. You guys want to, you know what I mean? You're inquisitive, but at the same time, you're also listening but it's a fun vibe. You know what I mean? And it's hard to get, and I hope you guys don't mind me saying this. The other place that I feel like that is the Shining Wizards because those guys, same deal. They're all fans. When you guys are fans and you have that respect and then you have the love for it, it shows right away. And those guys have the same qualities that you guys have. So I could talk to you guys all day and I could talk to them all day because it's the same deal. It's not even like the mic is on. It's just us having a conversation, just talking. That's how it is to me. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things I'll tell everybody and be like, hey, do this podcast because it's a cool deal. I told Homicide that, and Homicide was like, all right, get me on. You know what I'm saying? So I'll work on that. You know what I mean? Because it's something that I know would get you guys a lot of hits because Homicide's Homicide. He's an insane character, but at the same time, I know he would feel relaxed with you guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. I might have to come because I might have to translate some of the stuff that he said. You know what I'm saying? But, well, like I said, I also want to work something out. Hopefully, I don't see it being too much of a problem, but maybe where we could do it where you guys are the JP podcast before the show and after the show. You know what I mean? Get interviews. I mean, hopefully you guys are going to be at the first, so we get some interviews and start it up that way with some of the guys that are going to be there, and make it exclusive that you guys are the only guys that are doing that because that's the other thing. Like I was saying about Hit Squad and beyond, when you're exclusive, everybody has to listen to you. And if they like you, they're going to want to listen to more. I have a feeling everyone's going to like listening to you guys. So, if we could get you guys to interview a few guys, just quick 5-minute things with whoever. I don't want to say anybody. Arcadia, Kyle the Beast, because that's who I've been plugging. And G's is going to be there. So you get 5 minutes with each guy, and then you clip it up and put it, this is our JP wrap-up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Something like that. You guys are going to be the only ones to have it. And they're going to be like, oh, shit, all right, cool. Because JP is going to plug it. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Because then, by you guys, we all linking up, that's, you make that connect, and then all of a sudden, you go from having 1,000 people listening to 1 million people. Yeah. I'm not saying that we're going to get 1 million. Just don't get big heads on me, guys. Right? But,
if we get 1 million listeners, you're our manager.
I'm not wrestling anymore. I'm just podcast manager.
When we first started, people just kept closing the door on us and closing the door. And we had a couple people like Delroy and Nikos who were like, yeah, we'll take a chance on you too, and like Mike Orlando. And but like thanks to you, I mean, we got like Robbie E and JTG and Patriot and like Fala and like all these people who, you know. I know Moff was one of them.
I know Moff was one of them. I'll always take credit whenever Dan Moff does something because of me. Damn it, nah.
Yeah, like Dan Moff. You know, I mean, so many people. You know, I remember I sent a message to Gino. I'm like, oh yeah, Dan Moff. He's like, you don't have to sell me. And you know, like to me, like I was like, no, I think I have to kind of, you know, because like we work so hard and we've had such a great lineup.
And we drop your name every time we ask anyone to come.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I trust me. I see when you guys put up. I try to listen as much. I am, especially now that I've been helping out with JAP. I have zero time to do anything but breathe. You know what I mean? So I try to keep up. But I always see when you guys. I saw when you guys had Fala and Moff, and I'm sure I shared it. A few of them when I saw people that I was like, oh shit. They should listen to this, share. You know what I mean? Because, again, I know that you guys, it's a good podcast. If it sucked, I'd be like, oh, hey, guys. That's you know what I mean? But, you know, I also thank you guys for having me on because, you know, I like to talk. I don't like to talk to everybody. But if I like the people that I'm around and like to talk, I will talk and you'll get more stuff. You guys see I'm relaxed and chill. For me to be relaxed and chill is because of what you guys are doing. And when you get the relaxed Steve, you get the better stories. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and plus, again, it's something that I've been instilled with from day one. The way I always look at my story of life and everything that I've done, I'm someone that's not supposed to be anything. I'm a short, Hispanic, fat guy. You know what I mean? I'm not the prettiest looking thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm teddy bear cute. I can admit that. Teddy bear cute. But I'm not like throw your panties at me cute. You know what I'm saying? So, but everything that I've ever gotten, it wasn't because someone gave it to me. It was because the opportunity came up for me to take advantage of whatever it is that I wanted. And, you know, I've always felt like you have to give back no matter what, because as humans, nobody wants to give back in today's society anymore. Everybody's selfish. Everybody's greedy. Nobody wants to help out anymore. Everybody wants to just keep whatever their stash is. And if they can get some of the next guy's stash, all right, cool. And then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Not like that. I've never been like that. I'm always about helping other people out no matter what it is I do. You know, whether it's playing baseball, football, basketball, which I suck at. But, you know what I mean? I try to help, you know what I mean? Video games, try to help. Whatever it is, I always try to help. Wrestling. When I see that people love what I love, I'm definitely going to help. And when I see you guys love this business. You know what I mean? You guys are hungry to find out more and to help and produce more. And that's what this business needs because there's a lot of greed going on. You know, and it's been going on for decades, but more now than ever, you see guys who, I'm not going to hook anybody up. I'm just going to hook myself up. And you can't, this business won't survive that way. No matter what, whether it's WWE, New Japan, TNA, JAP, Wrestlpro, whenever you have selfishness, it's not going to prosper. You know, this is a team game. No matter what. From the opening match to the main event, it's a team game. And when people can understand that better, and see it firsthand. That's the only way they're going to learn. They have to see it firsthand. You know, when I gave my Hall of Fame speech, I know I'm probably going to get yelled at because we wrestle each other and, you know, he doesn't want me breaking the fourth wall. But I'm sorry, Keith. But when I gave my Hall of Fame speech, I always preach that I'm here to help the younger guys out. And I want this business to be better than when I came into it. And I've done my job to help, but I could still do more. And that's how I see it, you know. Should I be doing more for myself? Yes, I probably should. On the other hand, though, that's not what I feel best at. My best quality is helping other people. So I said something about that in the Hall of Fame speech for JAP. And when I came to the back, he was the first guy. He gave me a hug. He's like, you know, I didn't realize it until today, but you're always saying that. You're always saying that You want this business to be better. You're here to help the younger guys. And he's like, I wish that you did more for yourself, but I'm proud that I know someone like you that does more to help out. And you want this business to be better because you love it. And we all love it. If not, we wouldn't be a part of it. Think about it. Who wants to get thrown around in their underwear? You know what I'm saying? Hit the mad heart, bleed, sweat. Like, you know how rough it is when you're getting pinned and someone's balls are in your face? You know what I'm saying? Like, you question your life choices. You know what I'm saying? So, like, who really wants that? You have to love it, though. You know what I mean? And I love it more than anything that I could think of, with the exception of my family. But anything else that I've done, it's the most proudest thing I've done for myself. Is anything that I've done in wrestling, you know? And I want people to feel what I feel, even if they feel half. It's a lot, because I feel very proud of a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? When people ask, are you upset that you didn't get to TV? Sometimes, yeah. But you know what? If it was meant to be, it was meant to be. I'm happy because I still got to go to Japan. Look, who in their first 4 years goes to Japan? Not that many people, but I did. And I was there with my boys. I was there, Homicide Moth. We were working for Big Japan. Key's working New Japan. Key was working 01. Bryan Danielson was working New Japan. SAT was 01. We were all there in the same week. All of us. We were all nothing. We're supposed to be nothing. And here we are, running the world. You know what I'm saying? In what we love. And who's going to ever take that away from me? Only my own memory. If I, get Alzheimer's or some fucked up shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But, like, outside of that, no one can ever take that away. You know what I mean? Shit like that is what makes this so awesome for me. So, if I could help someone else, an Arcadia, a Kyle the Beast, any of these guys that you see me around, EYFBO, Private Party, Dickinson, Jaka, any of these guys that I've known since they were 14, 13, whenever I talk to them and they say, oh man, thank you, you did, I feel good. It makes up for not being on TV. It makes up for not being a millionaire, because I know that I helped this kid become something that he wanted to be because of something that I did. You know what I mean? I think that's the best that you could get.
Yeah.
So,
that's it.
Sounds like you're the LeBron James of wrestling. You do for everybody else. You're passing the ball.
I'm more like the John Stockton.
Yeah. I like that.
John Stockton. He was dirty, man. He got all the steals. I'm just trying to get the information for you guys for New Japan. New Japan. You hear this shit?
Wow.
For Jersey all worldwide. Jushin Liger is coming back to JAP.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was crazy.
So it's going to be July 1st at 3 o'clock. The Holy Trinity Church, 90 Leonardine Avenue in South River, New Jersey. If you get tickets through the email, you can call 732-334-1530 or email japwvideo@aol.com to get tickets in advance for $10, but they're $15 at the door the day of the show. I don't think that's too bad. Do you guys think it's
no? Yeah, nope.
I mean, you guys know you're getting the $10 tickets. So, yeah. But or you go to jpw.net to find out. The only two people announced. You hear me? I can't talk. Black G's, who is our current JPW heavyweight champion, and Arcadia, who is our JPW light heavyweight champion. Those are the only two guys. Everybody else, it's going to be a surprise. And I can tell you, there's people coming from the Midwest. There's people coming from Philly. There's people coming from Long Island, New York, New Jersey to wrestle on this show. So it's not like you're gonna be like, oh, it's just gonna be the local guys. No, there's a lot of different people that you won't see on UWA Elite after, because they're running their Gold. What is it? Gold Rush? Gold Rush. See, look, I got the plugs. They're running their Gold Rush show afterwards at 6 o'clock or 5:30. I think it's 6 o'clock. I think 6 o'clock. They're running the same building right after. It's a double header, so you get to see two different styles, two different companies. But I want to make sure that when you leave JP, you're gonna be like, wow, that was cool. You know what I mean? And it's going to be on YouTube afterwards, but it's better to be there live. You know what I mean? Because you don't know who's going to show up. You know, I got a deep phone book. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can show up. And that's that's one of the things that we're trying to keep it. That's why we're not announcing talent. We want people to wonder and speculate who's going to show up. You know what I mean? So far, ticket sales are decent. But, you know, I'm going into this where if we get 150 to 200, which sounds low for a JAP show, but you got to understand, we also only had a month to advertise with no lineup advertising. If we get 150 people to show up, we did double what we wanted to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, but at the same time, I know we could pack this place with 300-400 people. I would like to have that much. If not, that's not a big problem either. But just understand that the people that have been selected to do this, I think 2 or 3 have less than 2 years experience. Everybody else has been around for a few years. You're going to see a lot of good talent. You're going to see talent that you're like, I've heard of this guy, but I've never seen him. And that's what I'm trying to bring. That's what we're trying to bring to JAP. Talent like that. You know, so just expect that. And then October 7th in Rahway, we're coming back. It's not going to be an anniversary show because anniversary show would normally be in November. But, you know, it's just to have a nice show, big show for, you know, JP fans, the JP universe. In case you missed it, I stuck my tongue out. I know you can't see that. But, what you call it? For the fans to come out and watch JP on the grand stage, because, you know, when we do it on the grand stage, we always go all out. Everybody goes nuts. And then we're looking, like I said, for 2018 to run at least 3 or 4 shows. And, you know, if we can create a buzz with the talent that we're using, hopefully we get more than 3 or 4. Hopefully we get 5 or 6 and different places, not just the same place. And, you know, make some noise. And then the other thing that I want to plug is it hasn't been announced, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to be mad if I give it away. July 30th, because when this comes out, I just did the June 24th Beyond Wrestling show. But July 30th is American Rana, and I know that me and Moff are going to be there. They'll announce it, you know, they'll do their thing, and I'll let them know that I'm telling everybody, but, you know, and I can't say who, but I could tell you that what was thrown at me as far as who we're going to fight, I think everyone's going to be like, what? Like, it's not the Dudleys, but it's going to be that same type of reaction for the wrestling fans. You know, when people, if it happens, because it's still in the process of being worked on, but it's like, I would say like 85-90% going to happen. When it gets announced, you guys are going to hit me up and you'll be like, what? You know what I mean? Trust me on this. And I'm saying that with absolute confidence because, you know, the tag team that it is, it's a rare thing for them to do whatever they're doing. So just know that I'm giving you that little teaser. I don't know when they're going to announce it, but I would assume within a week or 2 after you guys release this show. But it'll be something nice and big. And everyone's going to be like, oh!
Wow.
So,
where can people follow you?
On Facebook, look up Steve Mack DHS. On Twitter, look up Steve Mack DHS. On Instagram, Steve Mack DHS. I really need to get one of those stickers that have the logos for each with Steve Mack DHS. That's pretty much it. Those are the 3 that I'm active on. And then on YouTube, I believe it's either Hit Squad or Steve Mack DHS. So, you know, you just look for 2 fat ball guys and you'll see us. You know what I mean? But, you know, like I said, man, just thank you guys for having me on because, like I said, it's very relaxed, very cool. And I know when we get Moff here and Homicide here, it's going to be even more fun because when they see how relaxed you guys are, they open up just like I do. Yeah. And, you know, I just want to thank you guys for creating that environment because it's a lot of fun. And I can tell my boys, hey, do Wrestling 101. What is it? Wrestling IQ 101. I always mix up IQ and 101. I always do it. When I tell Homicide, I'm like, Wrestling 101 IQ. No, fuck, I fucked up. Wrestling 101 IQ. But whenever I tell my boys about you guys, And they always like, oh shit, that was cool. And like when Homicide listened to our interview, he's like, man, that was fucking awesome. And then he was like, I sent it to Key, but I don't think he's gonna listen to it. I was like, it's all right. I don't want him to listen to it anyway. But I wish you guys nothing but more success, and I hope everything continues. And like I said, I'm definitely gonna work on doing the JP exclusive podcast with you guys, because I think it'll work for both teams in that, again, opportunity, and it's fun.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? That's what wrestling should be. It should be fun. It's not fun as much, but when it is, it's awesome. You know? So
Exactly.
Thank you, Monsta Mack, for taking the time out again to talk to us. For us, we're Wrestling IQ 101. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, on Facebook at WrestlingIQ101.com.
YouTube also.
Oh, yeah, and YouTube.
Yeah, because it's cool to watch a picture of me posing for an hour.
It looks just like that.
And also, now you can find us on B Plus Player Radio,
Oh,
on Stitcher, iCloud, and iTunes.
Well, moving on.
And TuneIn. It's another app.
Oh, I know TuneIn.
Yeah.
I used to have it back in the day when it first came out. But-
And Mark Adam Haggerty, he's gonna be upset because you definitely smashed his record of the longest episode.
well, I'm sorry. I like to talk.
Yeah, he's
gonna be upset. He's gonna be sad that you broke his record.
How long did we go?
We are closing in on 2 hours.
Oh,
yeah.
We're like 30 seconds away from 2
All right, let's just talk for 2 hours. All right, so, there was that one time where I punched the chick in the face, and then...
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
What do we got, 15 more seconds? All right, so then there was one time I kicked a baby upside the head.
We're there. Oh, man.
that baby
It
is
wasn't
a
your fault,
family.
though,
No.
right?
But listen, no matter what happens, and I know he's going to, when he hears this, he's going to call me. For the longest time, Moff insists hard. I don't know if you guys seen it, but if you want, look it up. When we were wrestling Tabernacle 18, and the wall broke at Beyond Wrestling, Moff insists he had nothing to do with it. Yet if you watch the video, it's truly just him throwing the dude's head into the wall over. and then once he sees it break, he's like, oh, well, fuck it. And he keeps doing it even more. So I just want to get it out there that, Moff, you broke the wall. But I still love you, man. I still love you.
Man. Once again, Monsta Mack, we definitely appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're out.
Peace.
You have just listened to the Wrestling IQ 101 podcast, powered by B Plus Player Radio.
One more for the good guy.